What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Theme Inspector Gadget music. Politicians have a lot of power, and they have a choice of how they want to use it. Some politicians use their power to bring people together and to develop the community and in the city in which they serve. Other politicians use their power for greed and to intimidate others to get what they want. And of course, that sounds a lot like Tiffany Henyard. But stop the show. It's even worse than what you think. Rewind, Demo! You see, when Tiffany Henyard got into office, she inherited a new budget with a lot of money because of the former mayor, Riley Rogers, and, COVID had happened, so it wasn't a whole lot of government spending. So the new trustee board wanted to really give her what she needed to revitalize the city. Now, although she didn't have any plan to bring any economic development to the city, she had a big plan to spend a lot of money. And that's probably because she wanted to be reelected in 2025. And she wanted to spend a lot of money, but sometimes there were checks and balances. The trustees didn't want to give her everything. So instead of working with the trustees, this happened.
Just for the record, and the reason I guess I want all of the citizens to know why we're so adamant about this budget and what's going on. May 12, 2021, a resolution was passed. The following persons are hereby authorized to be added as signatories for all city accounts: Mayor Tiffany Henyard, Village Clerk Allison Key. Any prior signatories or individuals authorized and hereby removed from the accounts, prior authorization is revoked. Number of signatures required are a combination of both signatures. After approval of payment by the village board, each check shall be signed by the mayor and the clerk. We have a $500,000 check signed by Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Y'all wonder why we worried about the money? This is why we worried about the money. $561,000 check with one signature on there. It's a problem. That means that money is being spent, and after we don't find out till after the check's been cashed. That's why we up here complaining about it.
That's right. The trustees found out that people's names had been taken off the bank account. And by the way, they're still fighting that out in court right now. They still haven't got certain statements in the last 7 months. So we really don't know how much money she spent. But she authorized a check for over $500,000. The question is, who cashed it? Fast forward! That brings me to this post that I saw today, which was on Jedediah Brown's Facebook account. And it says this: Sad music! He lost his business and legacy check cashing. Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard's bogus checks. The Fed's been in town. However, if you're still aiding them in any way, from providing burner phones to providing safe haven, if we find you, then you have to go. We don't want no trash left in Dolton. The residue of this administration must be eradicated. Ask yourself, is it worth it? Okay? So now let's zoom in on this particular arrow. That arrow is supposedly the car of Tiffany Henyard, from what I believe. So I started going through the comments, and it says things like, oh wow, this happened today. And person goes, no, I don't think so, because I went to get my nails done on Wednesday and this is next door and it was all boarded up. I don't know when this picture was taken. Another person goes, no, this been happening. The FBI been in town. This now coming out why the business has been closed. He got mixed up with the mayor, either volunteer or not. Now, the people here, I'm going to blur their names out, but I won't blur out this next person, Valeria Stubbs. She commented on this post. Give her a round of applause. She's a former police officer, former trustee, and also ran for mayor. And that brings me to a group that I got into, which is a Dolton politics group. And rewind! So September 21st, 2023, she made this post. Does anyone know why the currency exchange is closed on Martin Luther King? So that post, I was there just reading some of the comments, and then it all made sense. This guy who owns this place most likely did something very terrible. Can you guess what he did? Drum roll, please. he cashed that check for $566,000 for Tiffany Henyard. So again, remember, the FBI came to Dolton about 2 months ago, and there was a brother by the name of Lawrence Gardner who had this to say.
Lawrence Gardner owns a U-Haul rental and trucking business in South Suburban Dolton and says he went to the FBI several months ago, frustrated that the Village of Dolton would not renew his business license. Gardner says he's been harassed and his business raided and shut down by Dolton police. He believes because he refused to make a donation to a civic event sponsored by Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
And I talked to a couple of agents and I explained them what was going on. I gave them all my paperwork to show them what was happening in court and what was happening in Dolton. And they told me they was investigating and they would be in touch with me.
He wasn't the only one. There's a guy who owned a barbecue store who also said this.
Using public employees and tax dollars for personal benefit, and holding up licenses to certain businesses like this Dolton restaurant.
I've heard rumors that say, hey, I'm on the wrong team.
Dwayne Wood has been trying to renew the business license for his restaurant for nearly a year. While he has not talked to the FBI, he believes he can't get approved because he's provided catering to several Dolton trustees who are engaged in a political fight with Henyard.
I think I've been just targeted because of my association affiliation with a certain group of people. You know, I had the trustees. I've cooked for the trustees.
You see, these are two business owners who had been retaliated against because why? They didn't want to go along with the Tiffany Henyard administration, so they had been targeted. So they were not allowed to get business licenses. Their businesses were pretty much isolated from the Dolton economy. It also happened to this particular bar.
They just rushed in here, put police at the front of the door like they was doing a raid on the drug house or something.
A team of Dolton police officers raided and shut down Pablo's Bar and Cafe and Rinky's Bar and Cafe, both located on Sibley, about a block apart.
Everything going peacefully. Nothing going on. It's like 10 police cars came in and they start pushing customers from here. And he said, if you don't leave, we're going to lock you up.
Employees and owners say it's part of an ongoing campaign of harassment by Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard that is costing jobs and money. Their business licenses have been stripped by Dolton, but they've continued to operate with a state license.
I have like over 23 employees. They work from the local township. Now, end of the day, all the employees, they're going to lose them job.
So I'm trying to put this all together. I looked at this particular screenshot and then I looked for the name. It says Lon Lewis Goodman. Lon Goodman was a white guy who owned New Dolton Currency Exchange Incorporated. Here's what I believe most likely happened. There are two scenarios. A, he had been doing shady stuff from the beginning and it finally caught up with him. Or B, he cashed that check and the FBI has been gathering more evidence on Tiffany Henyard. Let's look at this particular comment by this person. He is a good guy. He probably was under the pressure of Mayor and Lacey's the police chief. He's been there for years. Before them, he is not a corrupt. Some people do things out of pressure. Another person says, Lon was a good guy. He put those yellow barriers up after a car plowed through the currency exchange and pinned me to the wall. I hate he is mixed up in this and I wish him the best. So basically, when I go through the comments of the people, and this is a white guy, this is an all black city. Also, another person comments that his business is still shut down. So I'm gonna assuming Lonnie is not opening back up. Weird, because he let me accidentally sign my check and go in there and sign again in front of them. They will not accept it. So I've never had them do any shady check cashing stuff with me. Must have only been for them big spenders. The person says it's not going to open back up. He lost his license. Then the person says, damn. So basically, this guy loses his money, loses his business, loses everything for dealing with our girl, Tiffany Henyard. Most likely feeling like if I do it, well, I can stay open in business. If I don't, she's going to close my business down. And as we've heard, for these three different business owners who are not breaking the law, who are trying to pay taxes, but refuse to donate into her government or to support her, she's taking it out on them. I guess the question is, what would you do? Well, I would rather do this. I'd probably rather go out of business than to go and get the FBI coming to raid me. That's why you see this picture here. In all things, you know, unfortunately, we got to do the right thing, even if it means we can't pay our bills or take care of our kids. And even though you got a gangster like Tiffany Henyard in office, you know, you still got to do what's right. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Our producer for all you, just the bell. We're out.